Chapter 7. What Went Wrong in Mutual Fund America? The Triumph of Salesmanship over Stewardship. As part of the broad community of large financial institutions, Mutual Fund America played a major role in the failure of Investment America to observe the responsibilities of corporate citizenship that resulted in the triumph of mangers capitalism over owners capitalism in corporate America. What is more, by virtue of its own perverse governance structure, the fund industry itself presents the most extreme version of mangers capitalism. Using an organizational design that would amaze and delight the oligarchs of corporate America, the managers of mutual funds have enjoyed virtually free rein to place their interests ahead of the interests of the owners of their funds. While the policy promulgated in the preamble of the Investment Company Act of 1940 clearly ordains that funds must be organized, operated, and managed in the interests of their shareholders, rather than in the interests of their managers and distributors, that sound policy has been honored far more in its breach than in its observance. Given the power held by fund managers over the owners of the funds that they supervise, it would have been miraculous if the mutual fund industry had been immune to the kinds of scandals that have faced corporate America and Wall Street. For in no other line of business endeavor is the conflict between owners' capitalism and managers' capitalism more institutionalized by tradition and therefore more widely accepted. The conflict arises from a structure in which the fund itself, typically a corporation with its own directors but with no employees, begins its existence as a creature of its management company, a separate corporation with its own separate financial objectives. It is that very structure that gives managers near total dominion over fund share owners. As a result, it was almost preordained that fund managers, for all of their proclamations about their dedication to Main Street investors, would abuse their power, resulting in the profound conflicts that ultimately came to light. Rocked by scandal. Industry leaders, of course, denied that significant conflicts existed. Indeed, in his remarks at the Investment Company Institute's General Membership Meeting in May 2003, Matthew Fink, the president of the Fund Industries Trade Association, pointed with pride at the industry's rock-solid reputation, citing SEC Commissioner Harvey Goldschmidt's glowing tribute just a few months earlier. The mutual fund industry has been blessed, and blessed is the only word, by being relatively free of scandal. As he read those words, giant images depicting the quotation were displayed on both sides of the dais. Fink then added, "The record is no accident. We have succeeded because the interests of those who manage funds are well aligned with the interests of those who invest in mutual funds." Fink's comments echoed those of ICI Chairman Paul G. Haga, Jr., the keynote speaker. Our strong tradition of integrity continues to unite us. The word integrity has been the theme of every recent general membership meeting for one simple reason. Integrity and the trust it engenders on the part of our shareholders is the basic foundation of our business. Our shareholders trust that their mutual funds are being managed with their interests in mind. Then he took on the industry's detractors. Former SEC chairmen, members of Congress and their staffs, academics, bards of Omaha, journalists, television talking heads, competitors, even a saint with his own statue, a lightly veiled reference to me, have all weighed in about our perceived failings. It makes me wonder what life would be like if we'd actually done something wrong. He need not have wondered. Less than 4 months later, on September 3, 2003, the mutual fund scandals exploded, epitomized in an eerie reprise to the corporate scandals that first came to light with Enron in 2001 and the Wall Street scandals that came to light in 2002. Widespread wrongdoing was exposed when New York's crusading Attorney General Elliot L. Spitzer brought civil actions against 4 major mutual fund management companies, charging that they had conspired with and even aided and abetted preferred investors, including hedge funds that identified their strategy as mutual fund market timing, to undertake illegal acts. These investors would buy and sell fund shares at closing prices based on late-breaking events that had taken place well after the market had closed, and trade international funds in the United States at values set in foreign markets hours before the trades took place. Spitzer accurately compared these practices to allowing favored investors to bet on a horse race after the horses have crossed the finish line. The Attorney General's seemingly airtight case was built not only on covert practices, but on readily discernible motives, the receipt of payola, for want of a better word. The managers received that payola in the form of side banking deals, earning high interest rates on their loans to the traders, requiring as a quid pro quo large investments in other funds on which the manager earns high fees, sticky assets in the vernacular of the trade, and the like. One manager's email could hardly have made the motivation clearer. I have no interest in building a business around market timers, but at the same time I do not want to turn away $10 to $20 million! Exclamation point. The writer emphasized that allowing the timing trades would be in the manager's best interests. Lest his colleagues be complete nincompoops who fail to get the point, he explained in a parenthetical aside what that meant. Increased profitability to the firm. Another email, God bless email, discovered during Attorney General Spitzer's investigation and made public in his September 3, 2003 complaint against Canary Capital Partners, also told the truth. Market timers are a big problem. It's very disruptive to the operation of the funds. But, obviously, your call from the sales side. The industry's response to the market timing scandals can be best characterized by paraphrasing the classic line spoken by police captain Louis Renault, played by Claude Rains in the film Casablanca, as he was confronted by the Nazis in a bar well known for the gambling that took place inside. I am shocked to find timing going on here. The public was told that the misdeeds were akin to parking at a meter and not paying. Nobody is being bankrupted by this. We've also been told that these breaches of fiduciary duty are attributable to only a few bad apples, although as these scandals continued to come to light, the definition of few had to be liberalized. As the trading scandals grew, other scandals surfaced. Brokerage firms, it turned out, were often selling higher-priced B shares, with the sales load spread over 5 or 6 years, rather than less expensive but still costly A shares with front-end loads, as well as selling their own proprietary funds without disclosing the conflict of interest. It also turned out that some fund managers were directing brokerage commissions and other payments to firms that sold the shares of their funds without disclosure and often in violation of SEC rules. Taken together, the wide-ranging scandals were the starkest example of the triumph of managers' capitalism over owners' capitalism in mutual fund America, a dispiriting echo of the same baneful warning cited earlier about corporate America. When we have strong managers, weak directors, and passive owners, it's only a matter of time until the looting begins. The Emperor's Clothes. How can it be that the fund industry takes its bizarre governance structure as the natural order of things? How is it that its leaders couldn't see that this structure was an accident waiting to happen? It reminds me of the classic story The Emperor's Clothes, which Hans Christian Andersen wrote in 1837. Suddenly a child called out, "But the emperor has nothing on at all." Soon everyone was laughing at the emperor's new clothes. The emperor was very embarrassed, for he knew they were right. All I can do is carry on, he thought, and grimly continued strutting through the town. And his servants went on carrying the train that was not there. The ability to ignore the seemingly obvious conflicts goes back even further. Hear Descartes in 1650. A man is incapable of comprehending any argument that interferes with his revenue. Or even Demosthenes in 350 B.C. Nothing is easier than self-deceit, for what each man wishes, that he also believes to be true. Or, as Upton Sinclair put it in contemporary terms, It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. Truth told, the fund industry in the vernacular of today just doesn't get it. Even as the spotlight that shined on the specific acts that brought notoriety to corporate America's bad apples, the Ken Lays, the Dennis Kozlowskis, and the Sam Waxels, even the Jack Welches and the others described earlier, the spotlight that shined on the mutual fund industry brought notoriety to the bad apples of the industry. Even more important, the scandals illuminated all the nibbling around the edges of proper and ethical conduct that, absent that intrusive spotlight, could otherwise have persisted for another decade or more, and demonstrated the frequent willingness, nay, the eagerness, of fund managers to build their own profits at the expense of the fund owners whom they are honor-bound to serve.